Welcome back to some more battles. We are in the Open Great League, and we're going to be running the Dewgong paired with the Shadow Drapion and the Weezing in the back. So we got a decent lead here versus this Shadow Marowak. We know that they win the cap tie, so we just let them throw first, and then we see the Dusclops in the back. Dusclops versus our Drapion. This is going to be interesting. We are going to be able to fire off a Crunch. Huge damage, and it puts them in range of an Aqua Tail. We're going to tank this move here and then fire off our own Aqua Tail. This will get a shield or the KO. Decide to let it go. That's fine. And they come back in with their Marrow. So now we're going to have all this energy that our Dewgong saved. We find out that they have the Morpeko lurking in the back. This Morpeko here does go for the Aura Wheel first, and we're just going to apply a lot of pressure, fire off this Sludge. It does get the shield. They are going to be able to get to another move. Psychic Thing is used, which is not going to KO, and we're going to be able to get to this Sludge to take out that Morpeko. Then we come back in with our Dewgong with residual energy, fire off the Icy Wind for the win. So GG's to our opponents, able to win that game with a decent lead and making sure we didn't waste that energy on our Dewgong for whatever they brought back in. The main core is going to be the Dewgong and the Galarian Weezing. The Drapion is kind of the general save swap. But against the Azu here, we want to apply some pressure. So we go into the Weezing with the Sludge. You can see it does a chunk of damage. We are going to shield here. And this allows us to farm extra before we throw this Sludge. They decided to let it go. Makes sense. And now we're going to see our Weezing go for this Overheat. We're going to go for the Overheat and then force them to use energy. They go for the Scorching Sand, takes us out easily. And now we're going to come back in here with the Dewgong. The Dewgong had an energy advantage. We are going to be able to reach this Drurun. It does grab a shield from this Tinkaton. They go for the Play Rough, which is going to be decent damage, but it doesn't KO. We go for another Drurun, huge damage, and now we're putting them in range of Aqua Tails. They go for the Bulldoze. Doesn't quite KO, but they do get to another one fairly quickly. They get the double debuff. And now we got to try to win this game with the Drapion with a ton of energy. We take out that Diggersby. This Drapion gets to another Aqua Tail, finally grabbing that shield, and then we force them to throw energy here. This is going to be a Play Rough that does take us out, but because they use so much energy, it allows our Drapion to come back in to win the game. So GG's to our opponents, able to win that game with the Shadow Drapion. All right, we got the Dewgong versus the Marrow non-Shadow, so they're going to be a little bit more tankier than usual. But also they're doing 20% less, so I'm going to consider that. Dewgong decides to come back in, so interesting take right here. We're going to force them to use some energy while they're debuffed. They go for the Drurun, and now we're going to be able to switch out. So we bank the energy, force them to throw some moves here. We know it's debuffed, so we can survive it. We're going to fire off the Sludge. And we do get the shield, which is nice. Marowak decides to come back in, and we throw a huge Overheat, take out the Marowak, expecting Dewgong to come back in. So we're going to swap out immediately here and go into our own Dewgong again, fire off the Drurun. Looks like our opponent is also at a move. They go for the Drurun as well, and they try to catch another move, and we were aware of that, so we go for the Icy Wind to debuff them for the rest of the this particular matchup. That allows our Drapion to survive these charms a little bit better. We're going to overfarm like crazy and get to multiple Aqua Tails, and it does in fact allow us to get to multiple moves against this Dewgong. We had to go for a bait, and then we go for the crunch for the KO. So GG's to our opponents, able to win that game with our Drapion in the back with a ton of energy, luckily, and able to use it to perfection. Okay, we got the Claydol versus our Dewgong. They swap into their Lapras. This Lapras here did not build up a lot of energy, so we know that this is going to be a resistant move. We decide that we need to chip at this thing first, and they decide to throw another move. This is going to be the Sparkling, and because they're relatively energy dry, we're going to go straight into our Drapion now. Fire off the crunch, takes out the Lapras, and now we have to deal with this Claydol. With the Drapion able to get to this move here, grabbing the shield, and we are going to be able to reach another Aqua Tail, so we do a good chunk of damage towards this Claydol, but this Claydol has energy now to debuff us. We go straight into the Dewgong. They win the cap tie. Rock Tomb debuffs our attack, but we're going to fire off our own Icy Wind here. Gets the debuff, and now we see the Talonflame in the back. This Talonflame here does have the energy advantage. We decided to let the first one go, and they only go for the flame charge. So now we're going to have to get multiple sludge to go through. Hopefully it's in range of one Icy Wind. Another flame charge is used, and unfortunately, because they're double boosted, those Incinerates do take out the Dewgong. So GG's to our opponent. Needed to shield the flame charge early, and then we would have had enough health to potentially take out that Talonflame. Okay, Shadow Hypno is interesting. We are going to fire off the Icy Wind. If this is the Thunder Punch, we are going to be able to survive it a little bit better, as you can see right there. So now we're going to have to get to another move. Icy Wind is used again. Before they get to their move, we are going to just sack it and hope that we can win the game with Drapion shield advantage. And unfortunately, ends up being the Shadow Golurk, dealing a ton of damage. But we're going to apply the pressure, grab both shields, and then head into our Weezing matchup. We have to shield here. Let's see what they have for this matchup here. Unfortunately, we are not running Brutal Swing, so we can only go for this Overheat and hope that they are really weak to this Weezing. Unfortunately, ends up being the Shadow Tentacruel, and we're not going to be able to beat that. So GG's to our opponent. Check out the team if you haven't already, and let us know if you enjoyed the video.